Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The Minnesota Vikings hosted the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football. Well, they didn't go down 33-0 or anything quite like that, but they did go down 7-0, and it felt like forever as the Colts were scoring. Finally, somebody scored about midway-ish through the second quarter, and it stayed that way for the longest time, and the fans were booing and frustrated at halftime, trailing 7-0, but the Vikings overcome things. There's a little bit of a back and forth, but the Vikings ultimately win the football game in U.S. Bank Stadium 21-13 over Joe Flacco and the Indianapolis Colts. Forgive me if I sound a little different. I'm not feeling 1,000% my best, and also I'm recording this fairly late because, well, it's just after the game. I like to keep things fresh, and I don't want to wake my wife up, that type of thing. So it's unfortunate, but that's how we have to do things for time constraints. Want to get as much of the show done now, and then finish it up in the morning. So that type of thing. So obviously you're listening to this on Monday. So happy Monday to everybody listening to this show, and congratulations all of us Monday morning quarterbacks with the Vikings win 21-13 over the Indianapolis Colts. Definitely a mess, definitely a sloppy performance overall, I'd have to say. Sam Darnold, you know, it's like when he wasn't throwing interceptions or fumbling or getting strip sacked for a scoop and score, that type of thing. I called it a scoop six, but a scoop and score, pardon me. So 3 turnovers for Sam Darnold in the game, but 3 touchdown passes. So other than those 3 turnovers, Sam Darnold was fairly sharp, but those 3 turnovers really stuck, unfortunately. He also noticed Justin Jefferson had a completion for 22 yards. It was a play of Darnold to Jefferson, basically like no gain, throwing it to the sideline. Jefferson threw it back to the other sideline to Aaron Jones, who was able to scamper for a first down. So I was tweeting about Aaron Jones that maybe we're getting too predictable and we're overusing Aaron Jones at times, which people are probably laughing at. But, well, I don't know. It's predictable at times. Sometimes, especially in the red zone, Aaron Jones just doesn't seem to be that guy to be able to get those tough yards in the red zone, as obviously that is the toughest place to pretty much get first, to get to the, it's the toughest place to move forward, generally speaking. Cam Akers finally seeing some action on regular snaps and was able to get 46 yards and only 6 rushes. Very solid getting through. Obviously the blocking was pretty good, and we come back to the blocking because, well, that's a huge story of the game. Vikings have a new left tackle, Cam Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's a 29-year-old veteran. Was a early second-round pick back in now I'm blanking. I believe it was 2016. And the Vikings were basically made a pick swap where ultimately it was a 5th-round pick. It's like, a 5th-round pick that can move up to a 5th-round pick that can move up to a 4th-round pick, depending on how things go, playing time and things like that. Maybe if the Vikings make a playoff run, something like that. And obviously Cam Robinson is able to stay healthy, which, generally speaking, he's had injuries in his career, but he's not like one of those kind of guys. Like, he's not like Jake Long, where obviously an elite talent, but, I mean, insanely injury-prone, like to a point of like, oh boy, it's like driving a Ferrari that might have a transmission go out every time you drive it. It's like, oh, forget it. That's kind of how it was for poor Jake Long with the ACLs and the Achilles and all that kind of stuff, so that was a huge shame. Let's not talk about Achilles or ACLs around here. I think we're all done with that nonsense, I hope. But yeah, both of the Cams had a wonderful game, and heck, you still have Cam Bynum as well, so lots of Cams on the Minnesota Vikings. He had a decent game too. He had a pass deflection, 5 total tackles, and 2 solo. Jaheed Ward was able to get a sack for the Vikings today, as Jonathan Grenard was able to finish on 2 of them. So at least the Vikings are able to get some sacks today versus last Thursday. Not this past Thursday, but the last game that was on a Thursday. Yeah, 10 days ago. Vikings were able to get at least a break after, again, that quick rush back to playing the Los Angeles Rams. An extremely disappointing game. But no, Cam Robinson, a very strong performance. For the longest time, there was like 0 pressures allowed from Cam Robinson. No sacks allowed from him. It was pretty much from the interior, the interior line. Extreme frustration there, but Cam Robinson had a very strong debut with the Minnesota Vikings at left tackle, and we'll see. He was making he was a $16 million cap hit for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It sounds like they're retaining some of the salary. And you never know. Maybe he'll re-sign with the Vikings. He's a free agent at the end of the season. So we'll see. Maybe he will re-sign, depending on how things go. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you have, Christian Darrisaw, I mean, it kind of is what it is. But who knows? Maybe he's willing to stick around. Otherwise, if he plays as well as he did today, Cam Robinson should be able to get a starting position somewhere. Who knows, to be a left tackle. So that's a nice free agent signing for somebody. If Cam Robinson indeed is going to play at the level he did today. And honest to God, like when you heard about Christian Darrisaw going down, you pretty much figured that's it. Game over. There's no way you're going to be able to replace Christian Darrisaw. Now, ultimately, the overall elite level of talent of Christian Darrisaw is pretty much impossible to replace. But the fact that Vikings were able to get a rental of this caliber is actually insanely impressive. So I actually really appreciate appreciate what the Vikings were able to accomplish, getting a Cam Robinson who is a starting caliber left tackle. So we'll have to wait and see how things go with that. Ivan Pace Jr. was banged up a bit but came back. Dallas Turner had a really nice pressure in the game as well. Did get 2 total sacks. So a really nice game actually by Dallas Turner in limited action, of course, again because of the depth and such. So a lot of us probably need to slow down with the bus talk, including myself. So I apologize a bit for that last week, kind of jumping on board that bandwagon. But yeah, it was an insane frustration when it came to the interior line. Pretty much, the center position, pretty much Bradford was absolutely, or Bradbury, I just called him Bradford, didn't I? Bradbury was absolutely, awful, to say the least. I don't know what to say. At the end of the day, he was pretty much trucked throughout the game, and it was disappointing. The Colts defensive line is really good. They have, 2 linemen and a linebacker, the triangle of terror. Yeah, they really are, and they were a huge threat throughout the game. But at the same time, I mean, you think you're going to get something better than what we got out of our interior line. I mean, you got to get something better, but they have been pretty lousy, generally speaking. Bynum, I just call him Bynum. Ed Ingram has not been good. Bradbury, I think a lot of us have had enough of him, generally speaking. And even Blake Brandel was trucked a bit in the game. I don't think he had a good game, arguably his worst game as the Vikings starting left guard. That's the good news, that he didn't have to move to a different position. A lot of people were saying he might have been the left tackle if we had to just kind of make good from within by bringing back Dalton, by getting Dalton Reisner back into the starting lineup, put him to left guard, and move Brandel to left tackle. But with Cam Robinson, we should be good at the moment. And again, a very strong performance by Cam Robinson, who deserves to be a starting left tackle in the NFL. Justin Jefferson, insanely strong performance, 7 catches, 137 yards, but unfortunately, once he got to his 137 yards, that was it. That's the unfortunate side of things. Seems to be that way. Jefferson will have these big games, big numbers, but then the defense really focuses on him to a point that you just can't throw him the ball. The ongoing complaint with Sam Darnold is he doesn't get rid of the ball, and that can lead to fumbles, that can lead to poor decision making. Another face mask that wasn't called. Again, that was on the fumble. So that's insanely frustrating. A lot of people getting sick and tired of that nonsense. But still, you'd hope he could hang on to the damn ball because calls just aren't made. John Oliver had a very strong performance. Sorry, I'm not feeling my best. Ugh. Pardon me. 5 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Addison had 5 catches, 42 yards, and a touchdown as well. Great catch on the touchdown when the Vikings offense was sputtering, and then finally got somewhere to tie the game up. That was all feeling like a million times better after that. After Reichert couldn't make a kick, all of a sudden missed a 53-yarder and then missed a 36-yarder, hit the upright. No matter how positive our drives looked, it was like, come on, can't we do something? And the fans were booing at the half. It just felt like an absolute prank. Like I might have said, Purple Pranksters 2.0, basically how we had a game like this last year, where it felt like the team was pranking us. And it sure the heck did at the end of the day. Again, every time you thought you had something going, Sam Darnold would be on his back because, the interior line was just, give up another sack, another pressure, something. Darnold would have to get rid of the ball, throw it on the ground one way or another. It's not like Darnold was terrible, but he certainly wasn't great in the game. I mean, the interception he threw was in the end zone, and it felt like I don't know, like what's he throwing to? Like, how do you not see the defender? The second one was a pretty darn good play, kind of like disguised defense and such. So that was a little bit tougher beat for Sam Darnold there, getting that interception. Byron Murphy Jr. He'll get those interceptions. He was able to get the single interception on Joe Flacco. And Flacco also lost a fumble in the game as well. So that did help the Vikings' cause. I thought the defense was generally good on Flacco, generally speaking, but at times, again, giving up some yardage, some big yardage plays, some chunk plays. But nothing super duper devastating, just some extremely frustrating ones at times, like multiple 22-yard gains and such. Felt like Jonathan Taylor was just going to run right through the Vikings, especially early on. But then the Vikings defense contained him as the game progressed, bringing his average down to only 3.7 a carry. Though Ashton Dulin did have a 8.5 a carry, but only because of a 12-yard gain. Cam Akers, again, like I said, six rushes, 46 yards. He was the leading rusher, well into the third quarter. It was kind of funny, but then Aaron Jones must have seen my tweets and got mad a little bit. I don't know, but averaged about, I'm just kidding, obviously, averaged 3 yards a carry, 64 yards. Did not have a spectacular game, but did have some moments. Jalen Nailor helped save the day on one of the plays where it looked like things were going to go downhill. Thankfully, Sam Darnold was able to find Nailor underneath for a 7-yard touchdown to put the Vikings ahead. What looked like it was going to be a dead play. Thankfully, something did come out of that. You felt so much better. All he did was catch touchdowns as Jalen Nailor in this one. Again, Jefferson on only 7 catches, but 137 yards. I know only, right? Big 41-yard play that did ultimately lead to Jalen Nailor getting in the end zone, if I remember correctly. Or was that the field goal? But, the field goal when... No, there was no field goal made. It was that was the other kicker. So, no, we got in the end zone on that play. Vikings did score. That was the Jalen Nailor touchdown to put the Vikings ahead, which ultimately did end up winning the game. Long term, because 14-14 would have been enough. That was the game-winning play. That ended up being another play to Jalen Nailor when it was third down. So, yep. Will Reichert never got to attempt another field goal, but at least he made all of his extra points, and that's good. T.J. Hawkins made his return, with 3 catches, 27 yards. Not a spectacular game, but can't expect too much coming back from a devastating knee injury that Hawkinson had almost a year ago now versus Detroit. But again, great to have him back, and you got to think things are going to get better. Apparently, news is that the Raiders have fired their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. So, I don't know. I mean, what kind of players do they even have on their offense? So, I don't know what to think about that at the end of the day, but not Vikings related. Again, a frustrating game to watch most of the way, but again, that third quarter was fun. Felt like the game wasn't over, though, for the longest time, not until pretty much the final play of the game when things finally came to an end and the Vikings were able to survive an extremely frustrating overall game, to say the least. Pardon me. Again, the interior line is a huge problem. There's no doubt about that, and everybody's extremely frustrated with how that took place. Again, Darnold was banged up a bit when he kind of was backed into Brian O'Neill's leg. Looked like he might have tweaked his knee a tiny bit, but nothing serious from what we know. We know Darnold's been banged up off and on throughout the season. And also Will Reichert looked to have some kind of, maybe a quad. Like he had his quad wrapped up, so that was a bit of an issue as well. I believe it was his right quad. At the end of the day, he was having that wrapped up and all of that. So Will Reichert maybe banged up a bit, and that could have led to his missed kicks, unfortunately. But at least he did make his extra points down the stretch. Obviously, those are as crucial as can be at times. So thankfully, he made those. It's just weird to see Will Reichert missing twice. But I don't know. The other shoe drops with kickers. It's just a fact. Sometimes they're going to miss kicks. don't think you're going to be giving up and cutting him just a few games into the season, like we did with Daniel Carlson. That ended up being a disastrous move, and it took all these years to find a potential franchise kicker, if such a thing indeed exists, which I believe the Vikings may have one here in Will Reichert, pardon me, and thank God for that. So, Harrison Smith had some big hits, multiple big plays, though he was beat at times as well. Gilmore had a big play at one point, and also was beat on some big first downs as well, those 22-yard plays. He was beat on one of those at the very least. I don't know what to say. Overall, again, the offense kind of is what it is, and it could be spectacular, but then you get another mediocre play, and you can't protect the quarterback up the middle at times. So it would be kind of like, imagine the kind of like how Mike Zimmer beat the New Orleans Saints years ago in the postseason in 2019. Well, this 2020, January 2020, by moving his best pass rushers inside, and they came in and they frustrated Drew Brees, and the Vikings ended up winning that football game because the interior was weak with the New Orleans Saints. Unfortunately, that could be an approach that teams are going to be taking with the Vikings until something goes otherwise when it comes to the Vikings interior line. I think a lot of us have had enough of Bradbury, and of course Eddie Gribb's been below average, and Blake Brandel had probably his worst game as a Viking today, I would have to say. I don't know if he's hurt or what the deal is. He didn't lose his job or anything, so it's not like his job's on the line or anything like that. But who knows? Maybe he is distracted at the possibility of a Dalton Reisner possibly emerging and taking over. Who knows if something like that could be in his head. It's interesting how both kickers actually had maybe arguably their worst game of the season. Ryan Wright only had 2 punts, so we appreciate it because, well, we gave the ball back to the Colts 3 times in the game, so think about it. Only 2 punts, 41.5, and that's not the worst thing ever, but he did have a touchback in the game, so nothing special there, to say the least. So, really, the Fran Tarkington Award winner for this episode has to go to Justin Jefferson. He had some unbelievable plays in the game. Generally speaking, he was downright fantastic, and we appreciate everything he was able to accomplish in the game. The Christian Ponder Memorial has to be Bradbury. It has to be the Viking center, Bradbury. He was absolutely pitiful. And, of course, that'd be Garrett Bradbury. I don't know why I haven't been saying his first name, but my apologies. Yeah, just an awful game. Ingram and Blake Brandel are honorable mentions, generally speaking, and Sam Darnold with some of those terrible, that terrible interception he threw early in the game, which kind of, killed a great drive. That was very disappointing, to say the least. But he did have some big plays that did help. Hopefully the Vikings continue to mix in Cam Akers. I think he's clearly a talented running back. The announcers would agree as you listen to the game. So with that, should be a wrap-up. Pardon me, I'm making too much noise here. So with that, I think I'm going to cut this a little short. Again, it wasn't exactly the greatest, most entertaining game ever. It's nice that the Vikings were able to win, and we appreciate every bit of that. But at the same time, again, it was an ugly game. And the Vikings did survive, and I'm not feeling my best at the moment. Hopefully the quality of this show improves as we move on to the later segments. With that said, so again, like I said, the Fran Tarkington Award goes to Justin Jefferson. The Christian Ponder Memorial is going to go to Garrett Bradbury. Well, so with that, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, look around the league. Maybe I'll try to stop my babbling a bit, and some of those second segments are a little too long, and we'll preview the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up. We've only played them a few times historically, kind of like the Houston Texans. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2 Hope I sound a little better. We'll see, but hope I'm not too irritating to listen to. Let's look around the league a bit. I'll try not to be too elongated, not too, whatever the word is. Just let's not belabor things too much. The Jets versus the Houston Texans on Thursday, a week after the Vikings lost to the Rams. Yay. 21-13, the New York Jets staying alive, beating the Houston Texans. Not bad. This is in New Jersey, I guess you could call it. What is it, MetLife Stadium? Yep. Get met, it pays, and happy Halloween, and blah, blah, blah. Hard to believe Halloween's already like 3-4 days ago already. It's insane. Aaron Rodgers had one of his better games as a New York Jet. In fact, looked fantastic, actually. Looked better than a lot of his games in Green Bay the last few years he was there. 211 yards and 32 attempts, 22 completions, 3 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud, very lousy. Completed about 33% of his passes, more like 35-ish. No touchdowns, no interceptions, though he did lose a fumble after scampering for 59 yards total on 8 rushes. Joe Mixon was awesome, like he's been most of the year. 24 rushes, 106 yards, 4.5 a carry and a touchdown. Tank Dell was pretty damn awesome, too, on only 6 catches, 126 yards. But the Green Bay Packers, well, they're green. The Green Jets, pardon me, strong performance. Devontae Adams on 7 catches, 91 yards and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson on 9 catches. Mr. Wilson, Wilson to Wilson. It could have been if the Zach Wilson worked out. 9 catches, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There you go. Good performance. Where did Riley Patterson play before? Was it with the, am I getting him mixed up with someone else that it sounds like? He was with the Vikings, wasn't he? I think he was in our, training camp years ago. The Jets had a bajillion sacks on C.J. Stroud. Danico Autry was able to get 2 sacks from the Texans on Aaron Rodgers. But holy cow, 2 sacks for Michael Clemens, 2 sacks for Jamian Sherwood, 1.5 for Quinnen Williams, 1 for DJ Reed, a half one for Hasten Reddick, and another one for Solomon Thomas. The Jets all over C.J. Stroud. The Houston Texans. He was sacked 8 times. 8 times. That's a lot. And the New York Jets get the win. So the defense still holding strong. That's a big reason why they won. But A-Rod being sharp definitely helped. Kirk and Co. First place Atlanta Falcons, 6-3. They're starting to kind of, move up a bit, you could say. They beat the Dallas Cowboys 3-5. Third place in the NFC East. Could be a fire sale, if you know what I'm saying, at the end of the season. I think odds are extremely strong on that. I think Zimmer is going to be one and done for him. I don't think he's going to last. And I don't think the head coach is going to last. I think he knows it too. Some blown coverage early in the game. I had him, the head coach of the Cowboys, throwing his surface on the surface, if you know what I mean, as hard as he can. Unfortunately, the Atlanta Falcons win 27-21 over the Dallas Cow Kids. I don't know, whatever they are. They're not real good. Cooper Rush came in for Dak Prescott. He left the game. Just mediocre performance. $60 million. I'm going to keep bringing that up. $60 million a year, not $60 million total a year. No, I'm sorry. That was ridiculous. I don't know. Jerry Jones needs to go away. General manager of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. It's just, you think about that, that's too much. He had his success. It's time to kind of move on, in my opinion. Come on. Not that I want the Cowboys to get better or anything. In fact, they kicked our butts on Halloween, remember, a couple of years ago with Cooper Rush at quarterback. That was bullcrap. Kirk Cousins, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, but he did lose a fumble. Of course he did. A strip sack type of thing. Come on, Kirk. Yeah, 19 completions of 24 attempts. Wahoo, and then a few kneel downs in victory formation. The Falcons continue to play better. After a mediocre start to the season, they're now 6-3. Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, that great matchup over the years. Obviously not as historic at the moment, but the Bills are 7-2. Great record. Again, stronger season than last year. They don't have to play catch-up all year, and oh boy, is the coach going to keep his job? Yeah, he is. Wasn't a great game, though, 30-27. The Miami Dolphins. But the Miami Dolphins have their quarterback back, and he played pretty well. In fact, he only had 3 incompletions in the entire game. So, Tua, nice return. Obviously, he came back last week, but just saying, promising to see Tua. Yeah, you just hope and pray. You just hope and pray that the blows to the head, all that kind of stuff, that's over, the whiplash. You hope. You absolutely hope. You just don't want to see any more of that type of stuff. 231 yards, very efficient performance, but the Bills just a little bit better. Josh Allen getting the Buffalo Bills to victory down the stretch, getting a touchdown, or no, getting the Buffalo Bills into field goal range, if you can call it that. 61 yards out and the win. Kind of like how the Buffalo Bills in the past would win these close games over the Miami Dolphins. And yes, it's a rematch of the AFC Championship game in 1992, or the 92 team anyway. 92 season, but the 93 postseason, that kind of thing. Yeah, it was a great, I don't know, it was a great matchup and all that. So the Bills won that game pretty handily, if I remember correctly. This was a bit of a back and forth, and they are division rivals. It was definitely kind of a can you top this type of game. Nice to see the Dolphins playing well, but it's kind of maybe too little, too late. They're 2-6 now, unfortunately. So that's a huge damn shame for the Dolphins, because maybe they could have been a pretty competitive team this year. A team that started awful and is trying to get back into competition again. Cincinnati Bengals are now 4-5 after crushing the Raiders 41-24. Bengals winning a couple games in a row, and it's about time. God, horrible start to the season. Just ridiculous. Like you thought last year was bad. Jeez. And of course, again, Joe Burrow had the injury that sidelined him for the rest of the year, and you got to see the other guy. You know that guy. I don't know. You got to see the former Viking third-string quarterback out there. Gardner Minshew, 10 of 17. Desmond Ridder, 11 of 16. But they're both quarterbacks in this one. Alexander Madison still the feature back, if you can call him that, with Amir Abdullah. What's going on? Why don't you bring Dalvin Cook in, too? Why don't you bring in Dalvin Cook? Yeah, why not? Why not complete the trifecta? You're not getting Cam Akers, though. Dang it. You know what's true? Cam Akers goes to the Raiders, and they actually use him. He'd be by far the superior running back. Wouldn't he, though? He'd be the superior running back of the Las Vegas Raiders. He would. I mean, if you disagree, okay. Chase Brown, Tecmo Bowl football in a lot of ways. 27 rushes, 4.5 a carry. Joe Burrow was exquisite. He attempted 39 passes. Now, again, the accuracy wasn't all spectacular, but 5 touchdowns. Hello. 5 touchdown passes for Joe Burrow. Fantasy phenom of a day for him. Those don't happen very often. But he did have the grape jelly interception. Quarterback rating of 115.5. Las Vegas Raiders, as I mentioned earlier, fired their offensive coordinator after this one. I don't know. I mean, the defense gave up 5 touchdown passes from Joe Burrow, but I suppose Burrow is a hell of a player. Mike Gesicki, I don't know. Great dance after the no, it was dumb. I don't know. I know I'm part of the fun police. I guess if you want to call me fun police, just I don't know. These elongated, these unnecessary dancing after touchdowns. I don't know. Fine, I'm fine. I'm an old fogey. I'm a bitter old fine. I don't know. It's okay. Like, why not? Why do you have to keep it going and going and going forever? It's so dumb. It's not that cool. I don't know, but I guess other people think it is. Yay. Well, anyway, the for the sake of moving on, and my head kind of swirling right now, I think I have energy, and then all of a sudden I don't. Right? No, I mean, that's what it seems like when you don't feel your best. 41-24. I should be fine though. I feel better than I did last segment. Especially comparative, like the roof of my mouth feels better. Thank you, Lord. There. The Cleveland Brown Bags hosted the Los Angeles Chargers. The San Diego Superchargers sounds a hell of a lot better. They're 5-3 after a mess start to the season. That's okay. The Chargers are. That is. Yeah, the Chargers are 5-3, not the Cleveland Brown Bags. Second place in the AFC West because the first. I don't want to talk about them. I just don't. I can't stand it, and I don't have to talk about them this week because they're on Monday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rematch of the Super Bowl. Brady versus Mahomes. I hope it's the same result. Go Baker. Start baking things now. Go baking those. So it's the bakers versus the chefs. Yeah. There you go. Great googly moogly. Remember that commercial, the Kansas City Chefs? Yeah. Oops. Anyhow, yeah, that was funny. Look it up on YouTube. I'm sure it's there. The Brown Bags dropped to 2-7, but I do think you have a better quarterback in there than what you had before. But he didn't have a good game. He was back to being the Jameis Winston of old. Ugh, 3 interceptions. Come on, man. Ugh, awful. The Chargers do have a good defense, let's be fair, but that's awful. Quarterback rating 50.5. That sounds familiar to the other guy who was making like $1 billion. Jameis Winston, 26 of 46, 235 yards on the, 235 yards in the air. Justin Herbert, 27 attempts, 18 completions, 2 touchdowns, and rock and roll for that, I suppose. J.K. Dobbins of the Chargers, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 85 yards as well. Quentin Johnson with a touchdown on only 4 catches, 66 yards long. Big time there. 118 yards overall. Cedric Tillman, 6 catches, 75 yards. Jerry Jeudy, the former Bronco, 7 catches, 73 yards. It's like they have names. Nick Chubb, he didn't have a good game, though. Sled dog performance. 15 rushes, 39 yards. Kind of like Aaron, kind of like a certain Viking running back the last few games, until late anyway. 2.6 a carry. I mean, I don't know. It's nothing to brag about. Myles Garrett, but he only had 3 sacks in the game. That's all. Probably letting out some frustration. I can only imagine. I like the Browns. I've said this a million times. I like the Browns. I want them to win. And it's not working out, though, unfortunately. Delvin Tomlinson, former Viking, and he's a good player. There are a couple former Vikings there, right? Isn't the former Packer? He's still there, right? Yes, Zadarius Smith. He got 1 tackle, 1. Zadarius Smith and Tomlinson are both there. It's a decent defense. It really is. But then the offense is just all over the place. One week they're good, the next week they're not. Corey Bjorquez, 3 in the 20, an average of 53 on 6 punts. Yeah, he's well employed there in Cleveland. You got a job for life. That's good numbers too, by the way. Job for life, punting. Well, as long as they don't throw interceptions. Tennessee versus New England. Once upon a time, not that long ago, this is a great matchup. But now, it's a 2-6 team versus a 2-7 team. 2-6 after the Titans win the game. The Patriots actually had more wins than the Tennessee Titans. Titans were awful coming into this one. Drake May, it's okay, but his second interception was the final play of the game in overtime. That ended it after the Tennessee Titans had what looked like a good drive snuffed out late, and they made the chip shot field goal to go ahead. Drake May was trying to drive his team down the field. A little bit of a gamble at the end, and lost. Rookie mistake, throwing the ball into coverage a bit, hoping for the best. But unfortunately, the ball was picked off for a second interception. Drake May looks promising. He does. He also ran for 95 yards, extremely impressive, but he added another fumble. He added a fumble for a third turnover in the game, unfortunately. Patriots, it'd be nice to see the Patriots get back going again. It's a completely different group. So if you hate Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, it's not Brady and Belichick anymore, okay? So don't hate them too much. It'll be okay. It'll be fine if the Patriots are competitive again with Drake May. The Washington Commanders are 7-2. Did you ever think you'd ever hear that again? The Washington Commanders are 7-2. Yeah, they beat the Giants, who are 2-7, but the Washington Commanders are 7-2. 27-22 victory with Jaden Daniels. Amazing what happens when you have a nice young quarterback at the helm, and you have some decent players around him as well. Obviously, a pretty good defense. That helps. Daniel Jones certainly didn't have a bad game. He's had a decent season, let's be honest. Malik Neighbors was thrown to 9 times, a lot of short passes, only a 16-yard long, targeted 11 times in the game. Crazy. 9 catches, only 59 yards, but 2 touchdowns for DJ, Daniel Jones, including a rushing touchdown, but he had to fumble at some point in the game. It seems like that's just how it goes. Quarterbacks fumble too much. But, who has the ball more than anybody else? Quarterbacks. So, of course, they're going to get turnovers at times. It's just bound to happen. Not a very exciting game, necessarily, but a very efficient performance by Jaden Daniels. Very efficient performance, honestly, by both quarterbacks. 15 of 22 by Jaden, 20 of 26 for Daniel Jones, but more yards per completion. So it's JD versus DJ. Cool. That's a reciprocal of some kind. JD versus DJ. You don't have dyslexia when you hear that. 128.8 quarterback rating. Not bad, eh? Not bad at all. Austin Eckler, that's a familiar name, of course. 2 sacks by Dante Fowler Jr. of the Washington Commanders. And no sacks by the New York Giants. 0 And Jaden Daniels' mobility certainly helps. That's for sure. He did run for 35 yards. Again, maybe recovering with the rib injury from a couple of weeks back, but the Commanders are 7-2. Wow. Don't be surprised if they lose in the first round, but who knows? Maybe they will go on a playoff run. Carolina versus the Saints. What happened to the New Orleans Saints? What happened? They have lost 7 games in a row. Add the Carolina Panthers to the list. Wow. Add the Carolina Panthers to the list. The New Orleans Saints look so good. You know, I mention this every week because it keeps happening. Great start to the season, and they have just lost and lost and lost and lost. Bryce Young, back at the helm, does look more competent and confident. If you can put those two words in the same sentence, I think you can. 26 attempts, 16 completions, nothing exquisite or anything. Did have a touchdown and an interception because you got to have that interception. It's just, again, it's constant for these young quarterbacks. Only 9 yards rushing on 4 rushes, but I suppose late in the game it is what it is. Alvin Kamara, 29 rushes, but 155 yards, keeping the Saints in the game. Derek Carr, just kind of average, 18 completions on 31 attempts for 1 touchdown. Kamara also had 6 catches and 60 yards. He's just one of those guys. He's kind of like what's his name was for the Vikings years ago, where we kept getting, it was just constant. My brain is stopping. Percy Harvin, yeah. It's just not moving as quick as some days for obvious reasons. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is now on the Saints. That's interesting. He had a 1 catch for 5 yards. Exquisite. Olave also had a 13-yard catch. Did he get hurt? I think he did. I think I remember he got hurt in the game, unfortunately. Whatever. This is a crappy matchup. Man, the Saints, what the heck happened to you guys? Yeah, some of us thought they might even win that division over the Falcons. That's just like, you'd laugh your butt off at me right now. Baltimore versus Denver. Denver, reality check as they head into M&T Bank Stadium. M&T, okay. Mr. T. I pity the fool. Yeah, I pity the fool that thought the Broncos were going to go into Baltimore and win the game. Cortland Sutton, though, did throw a 2-yard touchdown pass that helped keep the Broncos, it didn't do anything. He was the one good player in the game. He was the guy that kind of did a little bit of everything. He threw a touchdown pass because Bo Nix couldn't do that, apparently. No touchdowns and 1 interception for Big Bo, or Little Bo, whatever. Cortland Sutton with 7 catches, 122 yards. Wouldn't have been bad to keep him on my fantasy team. I got rid of him for Ayuk, and then he gets hurt. And then I signed the replacement guy at San Francisco, and he's still out. Oh, well, I think my team still won, though, because I had Saquon Barkley. Unfortunately, spectacular jumps over defensive players don't count in the fantasy world. It's just the yard he got. Dang, that's a bummer, right? Lamar Jackson with a perfect quarterback rating of 158.3, 16 of 19, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 23 rushes, 100. It's that year or two after the guy leaves his first team, like an elite running back goes to a second one. It's like for a year or two, oftentimes they just look unbelievable. When they got kind of mediocre their last couple of years with their first team, Derrick Henry, 106 yards, amazing. Strong performance with 2 touchdowns. Maybe not amazing, but really good. At the very least, Zay Flowers with 5 catches, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Super strong performance. Patrick Ricard, like Patrick Stewart playing Captain Picard. I love that. He had a 3-yard touchdown. Patrick Ricard. Man, what does that make? It makes you think of Captain Picard right away, doesn't it? Maybe. But the Baltimore Ravens romped the Broncos. Wahoo, wahoo. Next week's opponent, Eagles and Jaguars, not yet. NFC North, Arizona versus the Bears. Nope, can't go to that one just yet. I think there is just one more, and then we can get to the NFC North. Cardinals and Bears will be next. The Rams, suddenly competitive again after an awful start to the season. Weren't they 1-4? Yeah, I think they were. They beat us, then they won again. I think so. I'm blanking now. Didn't they? Yeah, they started out the year 1-4. They won their game. And then, they won a game to be 2-4. And then they came back with the 2 receivers and all that and beat us in that stupid game. And now they're 4-4 after beating the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith with 3 interceptions, along with his 3 touchdowns, 363 yards. A lot of pass attempts in this game, even though Kenneth Walker was adequate. 3.5 yards a carry, or less than that, 3 1/3 yards a carry for 83 yards. Mediocre. Jackson Smith Njigba, I think I got it. 7 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the Seahawks lose. Demarcus Robinson, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp with 8 catches, 104 yards. Puka Nacua was targeted 4 times, only had 1 catch for 11 yards. Matthew Stafford had his patented interception to go along with 2 touchdowns and just under 300 yards and 44 attempts. Karen Williams, kind of mediocre as well. The run defense is pretty strong in this game. Teams attempted to run, but were stuffed up a bit. 22 rushes, 69 yards, mediocre at best. A long of 9 and no touchdowns. But the Rams win, and they're kind of semi-back in contention, just like their northern neighbors, semi-neighbors, San Francisco 49ers, San Francisco, sorry. Arizona hosting the Chicago Bears. Did I play the wrong quarterback? No, I didn't. Kyler Murray attempted 20 passes, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and he lost a fumble. No touchdowns. So, thank God, Jaden Daniels actually outplayed him, and that's a fact right there. Caleb Williams attempted 41 passes. He didn't lose a fumble, good for him, and he did not throw an interception, but he didn't throw a touchdown either. The Bears managed only 9 points. They lost 29-9, and Kyler Murray did a whole lot of nothing, really. I mean, he got the team down the field a bit. Good for him. So there's that. The running game took care of business in a lot of ways, but they're the backup running backs. Emari Demercado got in the end zone. 53 yards for that one. Trey Benson, long of 17, into the end zone. And Trey McBride with a 2-yard smash into the end zone. The Eagles. They're not the Eagles. They're the Cardinals, much smaller bird. Get the job done, though. Good job by the Cardinals over the Bears. The Cardinals are 5-4. That's kind of surprising. And the Bears are sole position of what? Last place. Because all the other teams have 6 or 7 wins in the NFC North. The Bears tried as they might. They made their field goals and all that. Cairo Santos, not Carlos. 253 yards in the game, including a 29-yarder. Mediocre performance generally by the Bears, though. They're looking more and more like a meh team with an offense that's sputtering, and a possibility of maybe rumors of possible Ben. It's not really a rumor, but it's a possibility. The Bears may go hard for Ben Johnson, and I'm sure they will, from the possible world champion Detroit Lions. Offensive coordinator, maybe that might be something that could happen. We'll see how good the Bears get if that takes place. Oh, I bumped the wrong button here. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Who else is there? Detroit and Green Bay. Yeah, they played against each other in Lambeau Field. It felt like the Lions were just going to romp all over the Packers. Green Bay did manage 8 points into the fourth quarter, but that's just not enough. Detroit didn't even have to score. They were up 24-3 with 9 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the third quarter, and that was the end of the Lions scoring. Green Bay Packers defense got a little more stingy, and they got aggressive, and they got within 10 points. Detroit ends up winning the game, still semi-comfortably. Jared Goff attempted only 22 passes, 18 completions. Expect a lot of rushing in this game, and of course there was, because they were ahead. And the weather sucked. I mean, it was disgusting. You thought the weather was bad here yesterday? Yeah, it was. It was bad, but it was worse than Green Bay. Ugh. You know, like the infamous, was it the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator with the glass was completely covered with, water droplets. Kind of funny looking. People joking about, like, they should put windshield wipers on those glasses. Jordan Love, just kind of mediocre at best. It's not a good day for a quarterback. Probably not the best for running backs, but they didn't fumble, amazingly. There were a lot of balls that just simply weren't caught by Packer receivers that could have made things better for the Green Bay Packers, possibly could have won the game. Detroit just executed better, generally speaking. Amon-Ra St. Brown did the, was it Drake London celebration, like kind of going on his head and falling backwards or whatever. Yay, that's great. I know, it's a celebration. We're happy for you. Jahmyr Gibbs had another deal where he ran up the middle and scored. That was after getting hit pretty hard a play or two earlier. It looked like he might have been hurt, but he wasn't. Jahmyr Gibbs, an elite talent, ran up the middle like he did against us. Averaged almost 6 yards a carry. And again, yeah, you figure this was going to be the kind of game where if you're successful in the run, you have a pretty good chance of winning the game. Both teams are actually really good on the run, interestingly, because not only the slipperiness of the ball, but the slipperiness of everything. It might be harder to tackle people out there. And I would hate to play in this garbage, especially if I'm feeling like I am right now. I would hate to play in that kind of weather. Ugh. Because, it wasn't going to be probably not especially warm out there. It's maybe in the 40s at best. They don't show the temperature. That's a bummer. But, that was a nasty weather conditions in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Just like it was pretty nasty here most of the day, but it was nastier there, or more nasty anyway. 7.3 a carry for Josh Jacobs. Emmanuel Wilson also 7 yards a carry. 95 yards for Jacobs, 28 for Emmanuel. The Detroit Lions look like the best team in the league, according to a lot of people. Some people think it's funny, like, oh, they're not better than the Chiefs. That they look like they might be. It was kind of a mess start at the very beginning of the season, but Detroit looking a heck of a lot better than they did at the beginning of the year. They're looking like a team that, if they're playing like this going into the postseason, they are most likely going to the Super Bowl, like I predicted at the beginning of the year, and they just might win the thing. Because I don't think Cincinnati's going to beat them. If Cincinnati somehow gets past everybody and gets there, maybe it's their miracle year and they get it done, but I don't know. We'll see. The Jacksonville Jaguars, a team we always imagined moving to England someday, and it would be the Jaguars, because Jaguars come from England, like the car does anyway. Yeah, Jaguar. Remember those commercials? Well, the Philadelphia Eagles played a little better, and it was Doug Peterson going against the team where he won the Super Bowl, of course. And I don't know, is it his last game in Jacksonville? Because unfortunately, Doug Peterson's chances of being the coach much longer are slim to none. According to most people, Trevor Lawrence was an absolute mess. 2 interceptions. He stunk in the game for the most part. He had his moments. He did run the ball into the end zone twice, amazingly. Well, he had to do something. Jalen Hurts did throw for 2 touchdowns, much more efficient than he was earlier in the year. Saquon Barkley, if not for a fumble, would have one of those kind of games where it's like historically fantastic, including one of the plays of it's a highlight play that's going to be on YouTube forever, just like other plays, but it's going to be very much a highlight play that's going to be around forever. Jalen Hurts ran the ball in also, 67 yards on 13 carries. Saquon Barkley, 27 rushes, 159 yards, and a touchdown, but again, did lose a fumble. He also received 3 catches, 40 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Barkley, like a franchise running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been fantastic. So we are playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the team we're looking at. Eagles look good despite some weird coaching decisions. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. They attempted, like a 63-yarder, and the miss happened, and the Jaguars had another chance, but then another interception would wrap things up for the Jaguars. Cam Robinson going against his former club, just like that. Just 2 weeks later, Cam Robinson. Oh, here it comes. Saints reportedly fire head coach Dennis Allen after a 2-7 start. So it's happening right now. Dennis Allen. I'm sorry, Dennis. I think he's a good dude. But he's probably a defensive coordinator. Great start to the season, but 7 losses in a row. I think that kind of is all she wrote. Not sure who's going to be the coach there. It probably doesn't matter at the moment. They're 2-7. They're not making the playoffs. They're just not. So Dennis Allen is done. Yep, it's like a Black Monday out there. The weather isn't much better than it was yesterday, that's for sure. At least not yet, pardon me. But the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, what's going on here? I thought I was going to see something. Okay, I know what I need to do. Okay, it's right in front of me. Yeah, this one. Press the button. There we go. Isn't that impressive? Not really. Kellen Robinson out with a toe. Well, this is going into yesterday's games. I don't know why this can't update, but I suppose it's midweek. Yeah, sorry. Andrew Wingard was out with a knee, and Christian Kirk, collarbone. Yeah, those sound like they're not going to play at all. Those are wide receivers. Cashman with a stupid turf toe crap. Didn't play again yesterday. Yeah, didn't help. Caleb Evans was questionable, of course, and Taki Taimani, with the ankle. We didn't see any of those guys play. Unfortunately, I don't think this should be updated. Maybe it is. Hopefully, the actual comparisons, not the injuries, because those don't update until midweek, but the comparisons, hopefully they've updated. Vikings are 8th in points. The Jags are 18th. Total yards, the Vikings have 13. The Jaguars have 20, are 21st. Passing yards, the Vikings are 12th. The Jaguars are 17th. Rushing yards, the Vikings are 21st. Get Cam Akers in there, dang it. 22nd for the Jaguars. Time of possession, the Vikings are 18th. The Jaguars are 31st. Second last in the league. Points against, the Vikings 18.8. 7th in the league. The Jaguars are average 28 points against. 30th in the league. So the Jaguars defense is not real good. That's why what's-his-name was kind of making spectacular moves on them, I guess. Total yards per game, the Vikings are 16th because we give up more yards than I'd like. We're right in the middle there. Jaguars are 31st, giving up 389 yards a game. And a third. Passing yards against, Vikings are 28th. Ouch. Jaguars are 31st. 31st. Sam Darnold, get to work, buddy. Justin Jefferson, have some fun. Jordan Addison, yeah, could be a fun one in the air. Rush, it's another nooner, so there's going to be a lot of nooners. I believe it's 5 in a row, unless there's another flex along the way. So we'll see how this turns out at the end of the day. You'd hope if there was going to be a flex that we'd know about it by now. But yeah, there it is. Yep, Dennis Allen was fired. So, relieved of duties. This kind of just came out as I'm recording this segment at about 9:40 a.m. But, well, the news probably came out closer to 9:30. I probably was seeing it and not paying close attention. Rushing yards against the Vikings are still second in the league. The Jaguars are 16th. I don't know how the Vikings are second in the league, but I suppose we give up yards and then all of a sudden we start containing them, especially as they get closer to the red zone. Sacks, the Vikings are 7th in the league. 7th. And that was again after a Rams game where we had 0. Jaguars are 21st. So not a whole lot to brag about for a pass rush from the Jaguars. Vikings are number 1 in the NFL in interceptions with 13, kind of like the 92 team, the 92 Vikings. And that was a fun team to watch, by the way. 29th in interceptions, only 2 INTs all year by the Jaguars. So, well, you could definitely pass on this Jaguars team. So, if they give up 264 passing yards per game and are 29th, only 2 interceptions all year, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Usually, oftentimes, not usually, but a lot of times the team can get 2 interceptions in a game. But 2 interceptions the whole season, that's pretty putrid. So that might be another reason why maybe what's-his-name still has a job at this moment. Dennis Allen, yeah, it just didn't work out. He kind of, I don't know. I don't think he lost the team because he's a terrible coach, but maybe they just lost confidence in him, whether he's a good guy or not. Because the good guy thing, like Leslie Frazier, he wasn't good. He wasn't a good coach. They had to move on. He's not a head coach. You haven't seen Leslie Frazier be a head coach again, have you? Maybe for like a minute as an interim somewhere. That's about it. But I don't think he's had to be an interim. No. He's been a great defensive coordinator historically. Well, good. Excuse me. But there's your Jaguars. So our history versus the Jaguars. I do think the Vikings are going to win the game, by the way. 2-7. Maybe we'll be sending Doug Peterson packing unless he's a different coach or there's a different coach between now and then. Vikings have played the Jaguars only 7 times historically, so I can quickly go over the games a bit. 6-1 all time. We only lost once, and there's a historical thing tied to that one. Way back in '98, historical as well. Vikings scored 50 points. The first game we ever played the Jaguars. I didn't realize that. We just absolutely slaughtered the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a team that was so good just 2 years before, and everything was falling apart. I think Brunell was hurt. Yeah, pretty sure he was. 50 to 10 in the Metrodome. The '98 Vikings were unbelievable. I think what's-his-name was flagged for taunting, Dwayne Rudd. He had like a scoop and score type of deal. And he got to the end zone like, come on, come and get me. And then, touchdown. Like what a jackass kind of. They flagged him and he's like, oh, F that. It's like, oh yeah, you were taunting, dude. That was stupid. Just go in. This isn't like kindergarten. Come on. And the next time the Vikings played the Jaguars, Dennis Green was still the coach. Yeah. Well, 33-3. Jaguars in the Metrodome, December 23rd, 2001. Christmas or not, Danny. I'm sorry, buddy. Adios. Dennis Green. For a lot of us that were tired of Dennis Green's nonsense and lack of willingness to address issues with, say, a Randy Moss's crappy attitude and all of that. Play when I want to play, all that, and the whole year. A lot of us that were sick and tired of that garbage. It was kind of like a little Christmas present to a lot of us. A lot of us liked Mike Tice back then. They're kind of exciting at the thought of him being at least an interim and see what happens. I don't know, just to see what he's like. But then we ended up keeping him, and he was okay. Sorry, I'm babbling too much. But this was Dennis Green's curtain call for the Minnesota Vikings, and it wasn't much of a curtain call. Well, it was just curtains for him. And this is not. Yeah, it was curtains for him as head coach of the Vikings, 33-3, an absolute embarrassment. And everybody knew the team had completely quit. It was if they quit on Dennis Green or just quit on the season itself, whatever it was. It was an unacceptable performance. And Dennis Green, one way or another, was probably gone. There was a chance that he was going to get fired at the end of the year because there was going to be an argument anyway. Dennis Green was no longer going to be like a personnel director, like general manager kind of a role with the Vikings. He was no longer. I think he was vice president of operations, kind of like Spielman to be later on. I think he'd gotten that role. And it's like, okay, you're not going to have that anymore. And then he would have been like, bleep you, bleep you is a mutual parting of ways, basically. And that's probably what would have happened. Like, yeah, then you can go. It would have been a mutual thing. But instead, it was a firing. It was kind of like, one way or another, Green was not going to be the coach anymore. And that was the end of it. So, yeah, historical ties to both of those games. Otherwise, all those years later with Mike Tice as coach, 27-16 on November 28, 2004. 4 years later, Vikings beat the Jaguars extremely comfortably in 2008, 30-12, getting our hopes up, trying to make the post. No, we did win the division that year. It was a weak team, though. And then the Ponder years, very early, we beat the Jaguars it was a crappy, awful game. We beat a crappy Jaguars team by a field goal in overtime. I remember being irritated about that. 2016, fairly comfortable win late in the year, when it was kind of too little too late. I think we were semi-hanging on at that stage, 25-16. And then a terrible, terrible Vikings team in 2020 with a cute little win in Jacksonville. I think it was a beautiful day out. Nope, 2016 was the one where it was a beautiful day in Jacksonville. Man, it was that long ago. It looked like September. I remember thinking that. It's kind of cool, like December here, but it looked like September-ish, like September weather here, but in Florida, because it's probably September like around December. It's kind of cool. And then a weird little 27-24 win, like, yay, we won another game in 2020. Yay, a terrible team. We beat the Jaguars that year. So enough of that nonsense. What's going to happen to the Vikings and the Jaguars? Now I'm starting to clear my throat again. That's annoying. But the Vikings are going to beat the Jaguars, and if they don't, I don't think they're real serious. I think that'd be a joke. This is Everbank Stadium, going to Jacksonville, Florida, so we might see a September-ish, August-like look in Jacksonville, something like that. Vikings should win, put it this way, and if we don't, I think that'd be insanely disappointing. Looks like the Vikings are favored by 4.5 points, so that's your point spread. The over-under is 46.5. That's the total score between the teams. So that'd be like, so I'll pretend, should we bet the over that the Vikings are going to go all over the place on them? The way our offense has been playing, I'm going to bet the under. But that's just me, so I'll probably be wrong. Do not take my betting advice. Will the Vikings, I should look at it for fun, though, just for the sake of predictions. Vikings will cover the 4.5 spread in Jacksonville. We win by a touchdown, kind of like we did against the, what are they called? The Colts. We won by 8. I think the Vikings win by at least a touchdown over the Jags. I'm going to say 10. 30, no, I'm going to bet the under. Well, this pass defense is so bad. Like, Darnold could throw for 300 maybe, and I hope he does. Otherwise, he'll give the Jaguars, they'll double the interception total, but we still win. Might be one of those sloppy performances. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? But the Vikings are going to score 27. The Jaguars only Jaguars have some talent. Travis Etienne Jr., guys like that. I like some of those guys. I mean, there's at least something there. Travis Etienne Jr. Come on, I'm pushing the button. Have mercy. 6.5 sacks for Trevon Walker, by the way. Just throwing out these names. Brian Thomas Jr., 595. Tank Bigsby's got way more yards than Travis Etienne, so he's the main running back. Yep. There in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has been nothing special at all, generally speaking, this year. Who knows? He does have 11 touchdowns. It feels like he'd have even less than that. 6 interceptions, but just average. Just an average Joe. Not looking like a number 1 pick in the draft, that's for sure. Just average. Average. Still might throw for 4,000 yards, though, which is funny. I don't know. 27 to 17, Vikings win by 10 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. In Jacksonville, Florida, the Vikings win 27 to 17, and that is your prediction. With that, we'll take a quick break, come back for fan interaction. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 3, fan interaction segment. Let's get started. Go to Twitter first, at Purple Mafia Show, at Purple Mafia Show. I also had the Instagram up, I thought. So I gotta cut the sound off. Yeah, it can be a pain in the butt. I apologize. So, it's Purple Mafia Show. It's just one word, Purple Mafia Show for the Instagram, but no comments there, unfortunately. At Purple Mafia Show for the Twitter, or X as we like to call it. Vinrock Vinster Mono retweeting the most recent episode. Thank you very much, coming in out of Australia. We'll continue from there. Yeah, Mad Martin was saying, and don't they like to tease us? Yeah, that was a fact for sure. That the Vikings definitely like to tease us. That's what it was with those Rams. Rhino, Vikings Uncensored podcast says, they can't let Taylor gash them like that all game, or it's going to be a long night. I was saying, it was scary to see. Yep, no doubt. Tanae Brown. Yeah, I was saying, come on, Sam, another interception in the end zone. Is that 2 or 3 now this year? Tanae was saying that was a horrific attempt. Hawk was basically doubled there. Yeah, I was trying to force something. Tanae continues saying, I said in week 4, when Darnold was on the Panthers, he looked good until week 5. Seems like the same thing is occurring now with the Vikings. I'd say he played a little better, but still, yeah, he may have nailed it. Yeah, like Tanae, he's a little better than that, but still, it's definitely an issue, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, he's not been as good, there's no doubt. Yeah, like Sam Darnold looked like an MVP candidate the first 4 to 5 weeks. But since then, it certainly hasn't been the case. So, one way or another, yeah, I'd say Darnold has definitely regressed from how good he was at the beginning. Tanae was saying, again, Tanae is from New Zealand, by the way. I also don't understand why we'd trade for a left tackle when Darrisaw got injured, but they weren't trying to fix the inner offensive line before the injury, the interior offensive line. Sorry, that's what you're saying. How can they not see that's a major issue? Yeah, that's for sure. How can they not see that? Yep, I think I quote tweeted it, but I can't see it now for some reason. We have to go backtrack here a little bit. I apologize. I was saying something like, yeah, I'm happy with the Robinson. I'm generally happy with the Robinson move, but you're 1,000% on the. Yeah, he's absolutely right. Been a problem for years. It's like kicking the can down the road forever. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. That's it's definitely been a big problem. Dave Hickey jumps on board and says, why are we not seeing Dalton Reisner? He gave up 0 sacks last year, but week after week they trot out Ed Ingram, and he continues to rate as one of the worst offensive linemen in all of football. Yep. Yeah, he's been very lousy. A lot of people do believe that both Bradbury and Ingram won't be back one way or another. Maybe Ingram is back as a backup, which is okay, I guess. But yeah, Garrett Bradbury, I think we definitely got to move on from him at the end of the year. That's just like ridiculous. I think it was another interception. Dave Hickey was saying, I was saying, are you serious, Darnold? Dave Hickey was saying we're up 14-10. Why do I not feel good about it? Because other than the Texans game, we're in a dogfight at the end. Seems like every time. Yep. Only one game was good like that. Yep. I definitely like Tanae's thoughts about the interior line. Yeah, the interior offensive line. Yeah, I mean, holy cow. So yeah, he's 1,000% right, no doubt. Was there any more? I think there was. I just gotta hit the correct button here. Excuse me. Yeah, that is it. Wow, yep, that is it on Twitter. Yeah, Mad Martin. Oh, yeah, because the late game. Yeah, yep, late game. Mad Martin, it's like the middle of the night there in northern Scotland, so understandable. Yeah, back-to-back late games. You know, you had Thursday. That's like a 7-something, and then this is a 7-something. So here in the, in Central Time Zone in the United States here, right in the middle. Sorry, I'm feeling a little stuffy here. So, Purple Mafia Show, Minnesota Vikings Show on Facebook. Yeah, again, the link is in the show description. Danae Brown, yep, this is with the Cam Robinson move. Danae Brown, this is the Facebook page again, says, interesting move, might as well try to win at the start. Might as well try to win with the start they've had. Very hard to overcome, losing such a quality tackle in Darrisaw, though. Need to make a move for interior. Yes, interior offensive line or quarterback, though, if that's the plan. What the hell happened to Dallas Turner? Yeah, it is very strange. It seemed like they weren't playing him. I think he was hurt for a little while, and then they just didn't put him back in much. They didn't use him much. I don't know if it's just, these other guys playing well, we can't take them out. I don't know if that was the thought process or what. It's kind of like in hockey that seems to happen way too much with some of the young guys where it's like, okay, are you ever going to put him back in? Come on. Jeez. Where Turner did look pretty good. He definitely had a resurgence as Van Ginkel seemed to get a significant amount less snaps in this game, and Turner was out there more, and he did provide a pretty good pass rush, did Dallas Turner. So that was encouraging, to say the least. In-game thread, kind of a funky-looking graphic in this one, but it's nice. It looks cool for the most part. Just different, I guess. All the comments, please. Thank you. Sorry. So Mark Carlson said, what the turnover just happened? No. Mike Dale was saying, yep, Mark Carlson's from Iowa. Mike Dale's from New York State, not the city. Not very good vibes going on right now. Even Big Leg Bill missed his first field goal of the season, and then he missed his second. Yep. Will Riker missing a second consecutive field goal. This game is weird as all get out. Hopefully they'll get their ish together in the second half. And thankfully they did for the most part. Gerald String in South Dakota says, well, the defense really showed up and really impressed how Darnold comes back from a bad interception. Yeah, he's really impressed when he came back from the bad interception and goes right back to work. Well done. The Colts came to play and we held up great. Awesome win. I was saying something like, yeah, it's been a cruel prank of a game. It was driving me absolutely nuts. Better third quarter and all of that. So, and then there's a post-game comment by Mark Carlson. I posted it kind of late. Thankfully, Mark got into that one. Mike Dale, yeah, I suppose he's on the East Coast, so it's even later. He might have been off to bed by then. So I apologize I posted it so late. Otherwise, we would have gotten maybe another great Mike Dale post-game thread. But hopefully next week that'll take place with the Nooner game. And if I'm timely about putting the post-game thread up there. Mark Carlson, wrapping things up, says, can we ever just secure a lead? Maybe put some points on the board. Oh, sorry, trying not to sneeze here. So, okay, can we ever just secure a lead? Maybe put some points on the board. Or do we have to wait until there is 4 minutes left in the game? Also, when I see the Colts put Flacco out there tonight, I thought, here we go again. And it could have been, thank you, Viking defense. Yeah, because Flacco had been playing super well. Was it 7 touchdowns and only 1 interception? He looked kind of like Cleveland. And then this week, holy cow, he looked like far inferior to the Flacco we've seen. He looked much more like the Broncos' Joe Flacco. The Broncos in the Jets version, which was like a guy who was a dead man walking pretty much at the quarterback position. Like, yeah, he's not somebody you really want out there anymore. Yeah, sorry. So that's probably the case when it came to, that felt like the case when it came to Joe Flacco. But, yep, I think this show is going to be a little shorter, and it kind of needs to be, again, not feeling 100% my best, but getting better, believing for that. Hopefully next week the show, my voice will be totally fine and be more comfortable and all that. Nobody likes to feel like this. Heck, I've been on a pretty good streak thanks to those cold showers. That does raise your immunity. So, yes, it's a nice, cool idea thanks to Gary Brecka. of the Ultimate Human podcast. It does help. It does. I haven't had one of these in forever, so like over a year, I think. So let's keep that. Let's get another streak going. That'd be great. With that said, hope all of you have a nice week. If you want to get involved with the show, like a call-in, pick up your smart device, or you could just record on an Audacity on your laptop or whatever, or desktop computer, whatever you have. Otherwise, a smart device is totally fine. A voice recording app is on every smart device on the planet. There's free built-in ones, or you can download them for free off of the whatever store you have, if it's Apple or Google or whatever, Google Play. Just press record, treat it like you're just doing a podcast, basically. And then when you're, because I have done some mobile shows for Freedom of Thought and Freedom, I did Timberwolves Explosion, at least one episode. I think I've done a segment of this once or twice. I don't remember now. I think I did once. I think so. I can't remember exactly. But it was a small thing for Timberwolves Explosion, and then a whole show one time too. But yeah, free voice recording app. Press record. Make your comments, positive, negative, whatever you feel. And then you just save it and share it / email it to paladinolive. Send it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. paladinolive@yahoo.com. I then convert it into an MP3 file thanks to cloudconvert.com, which is a wonderful website to convert, so I can put it in my editing software of Audacity in this case. And there you go. You can hear the call. Please do put a 5-star rating if you could. Somebody out there, anybody. It's been forever. I don't know what's going on, if my show is not visible to anybody or what the deal is because of shadow banning. Wouldn't surprise me. But thankfully the Twitter /X is finally starting to move in a better direction, so maybe that's a good sign. I've tried to keep my language down because sometimes I get way too emotional during games, and that's stupid. Probably didn't help me at all, honestly, in the past. It really didn't. So yes, if you could crush that 5-star rating for me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other app that allows you to do so to help make this show more visible, to get the algorithms going in the right direction, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you're using YouTube to listen to this show, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. It can help, again, with the algorithms to make the show more visible, more suggestive to potential listeners. With that said, thank you again. God bless. Hope you have a wonderful start to the month of November, and the weather is going to be clearer and drier as we move forward, so we can get the lawn cleanups done. Because obviously, a lot of you probably have your own personal lawn cleanup to do, and of course, in my second job, that's kind of like the end of the season stuff. It's got to get done. So anyway, take care. We'll be back to talk about the Vikings and Jaguars next Sunday.